You stand at the base of the Great Pyramid, and a thought grips you. This was never just a tomb. What if the true architects were a forgotten civilization, or visitors from beyond the stars? For the next minutes, put aside everything you know. We are going to follow a trail of impossible precision, lost technologies, and underground chambers that the history books cannot explain. By the end, you will not know whether this wonder was built by human hands or left here as a message from the unknown. The grandeur of the Giza pyramids is not just stone look up. You are standing before a man-made mountain. The Great Pyramid of Khufu originally rose to a height of 146 meters, more than 480 feet, and held the record as the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years. Its footprint covers 13 acres, and it is composed of approximately 3 million stone blocks, which together weigh an estimated 6 million tons. No cranes, no steel, no combustion engine lifted a single one of them. The scale alone is staggering, but scale is only the beginning. The pyramid's base is leveled to within less than an inch across its entire perimeter, a feat that modern engineers would struggle to replicate on a 13-acre foundation of bedrock and sand. The outer casing stones, most of which were stripped away centuries ago, were once fitted together with joints so tight that a razor blade cannot be inserted between them. The average gap between the surviving blocks measures a mere 0.5 millimeters. This is not the rough stacking of a mud brick temple. It is aerospace-grade precision, executed in limestone and granite. And inside, the numbers only grow more difficult to explain. The descending passage, a 350-foot corridor cut through solid limestone, deviates from absolute straightness by only a quarter of an inch over its entire length. Granite beams weighing up to 80 tons each were extracted from the quarries of Aswan, over 800 kilometers away, somehow transported across the Nile, and then lifted more than 175 feet into the air to form the roof of the king's chamber. Today, moving a single 100-ton generator unit 669 kilometers by road requires a 500-ton mobile crane and a specialized hydraulic lifting platform. Yet the ancients moved 80-ton blocks with no wheels, no pulleys, and no iron tools. You might have heard that the pyramids were built around 4,500 years ago during the 4th dynasty, as royal tombs for the pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. Yet not a single mummy has ever been found inside any of the 3 main pyramids of Giza. The official narrative insists it was dedication and brute force. But when you stand here and actually measure the work, the numbers begin to whisper a different story. One that points toward a source of knowledge that simply should not have existed in a civilization that had barely left the Copper Age. The sheer scale of the structure, the exquisite uniformity of its materials, and the near-impossible tolerances achieved at every level suggest something far more profound than a burial chamber. What you are looking at is a monument to lost technology, and that technology is the thread we are about to pull. The lost technology of construction. Hold an ordinary copper chisel in your hand, the hardest metal available to the dynastic Egyptians. Now try to carve a straight, polished line into a block of red granite. You cannot do it. Copper is simply too soft to cut igneous rock with the precision visible across every surface inside the pyramid. Mainstream archaeologists have long proposed that the builders used copper saws and stone hammers. But practical experiments demonstrate that copper tools are incapable of producing the flatness and sharp internal corners found throughout the Great Pyramid. The engineer Christopher Dunn, who spent decades analyzing Egyptian stonework as a machinist, found tolerances that belong to the age of computer-controlled milling, not the Bronze Age. He notes that modern stone processing factories work to a tolerance of 0.6 millimeters. The Great Pyramid stones routinely meet a tolerance of less than 0.3 millimeters. On box-like granite sarcophagi found inside the pyramid, the interior surfaces are flat and perfectly perpendicular to each other. A feat that today requires motorized machinery and diamond-tipped tools. Dunn calculated that the ancient cutting tools must have advanced into the stone at a rate of 0.25 millimeters per revolution. A modern steel drill, spinning at 900 revolutions per minute, manages only 0.005 millimeters per revolution in granite, making the ancient drill at least 500 times more efficient than anything we possess today. Dunn's close inspection of the stone surfaces revealed another clue. There are no burn marks, no discoloration from heat friction. So he proposed the ultrasonic tool hypothesis. High-frequency vibration, rather than brute mechanical grinding, could have cut the granite cleanly and cold. Modern ultrasonic cutting tools operate at speeds of 19,000 to 25 revolutions per minute, and the groove patterns they leave are identical to the striations Dunn documented on the pyramid's granite. If he is right, the builders possessed not only electricity, but also the ability to generate and harness ultrasonic waves. But cutting the stone was only half the battle. The granite beams above the king's chamber, some weighing 80 tons, had to be moved more than 800 kilometers from the quarries of Aswan and then raised over 175 feet inside the pyramid. A recent study published in PLOS One offers a stunning alternative to the traditional image of slaves hauling sledges up ramps. Researchers propose that the builders used a hydraulic lift system. Channels discovered inside the structure may have carried water to create a flotation device, allowing massive blocks to be floated upward through an internal shaft. Water pressure, fed by a dam-like structure known as Gisr el-Mudir, near the step pyramid at Saqqara, could have pushed the stones vertically, turning the pyramid into a man-made volcano of rising stone. The Egyptians were master hydrologists, building canals to irrigate their fields. Why not to build their monuments? Then there is the geopolymer theory advanced by materials scientist Joseph Davidovits. He argues that many of the pyramid's blocks were not carved at all, but cast in place like concrete. Soft limestone was dissolved in Nile-fed pools, mixed with natron and lime, and poured into reusable wooden molds, where it hardened into solid stone within days. This would explain the uniform density, the absence of tool marks on millions of blocks, and the incredible speed of construction. Yet even Davidovits concedes that the giant granite beams above the king's chamber were quarried and lifted, a problem his theory does not solve. When you add up the evidence, ultrasonic quality cutting, a 500x drill advantage, a possible internal hydraulic freight elevator, and a cast stone production line, a single conclusion forces its way to the surface. The technology embedded in this monument was not a gradual evolution. It appears suddenly, fully formed, and then vanishes. The question you must now confront is, who really provided it? Because whoever did also understood the code, written in the very shape of the pyramid, a code we are only beginning to read. The mathematical and engineering marvel take the perimeter of the Great Pyramid's base and multiply it by 43,200. The result is 40,075 kilometers, the equatorial circumference of the Earth. Now take its original height of 146.6 meters and multiply that by the same number, 43,200. You arrive at the polar radius of the planet. The pyramid is a scale model of the northern hemisphere, rendered in limestone and granite, at the precise ratio of 143,200. That number is not arbitrary. It is derived from the precession of the Earth's axis. The planet wobbles 1 degree every 72 years, and 72 multiplied by 600 gives 43,200. The builders encoded the movement of the Earth into the very proportions of the building. The mathematical constants embedded in the design only deepen the mystery. If you scale the pyramid so that its height equals 4, the base side length becomes exactly 2 times pi, 3.14159, and the length of its slope becomes pi multiplied by phi, the golden ratio of 1.618. Euler's number E also appears when the slope length is divided by the top angle. A 2023 analysis confirmed that these constants are encoded to an accuracy that limits the error on a 10-kilometer diameter circle to a mere 2.65 centimeters. Mathematical accidents of this magnitude do not happen by chance, yet the number that most disturbs physicists concerns the speed of light. The latitude of the Great Pyramid's center is 29.9792458 degrees north. The speed of light in a vacuum is 299,792, 458 meters per second. The 9-digit match is exact. Coincidence? Perhaps. But stacked alongside the pi, phi, and Earth dimension encodings, coincidence becomes a very heavy word. Turn your attention to orientation. The Great Pyramid sides are aligned to true north, south, east, and west, with an error of just 3 arc minutes, or 1/20th of a single degree. It is the most accurately aligned structure on the face of the Earth, more precise than the Royal Observatory in Greenwich. To achieve this today requires laser theodolites and GPS. The builders, working over 4,500 years ago, apparently used the autumn equinox or the steady rotation of stars around the celestial pole. But knowing the principle and executing it across 13 acres of bedrock with sub-degree accuracy are 2 very different things. Now look at the internal architecture. The so-called air shafts of the king's and queen's chambers are not random ventilation ducts. The southern shaft of the king's chamber was aimed directly at Al-Nitak, the brightest star in Orion's belt, while the northern shaft pointed at Alpha Draconis, the pole star of the pyramid-building era. The pyramids themselves are arranged on the ground in a pattern that mirrors the 3 belt stars of Orion. But here is the staggering part. That mirror image is not accurate for 500 years ago. It is an exact match for the sky as it appeared in 10,450 BC, a date the ancient Egyptians themselves called Zep Tepi, the first time, when they believed the gods walked the earth. The layout on the ground records not the sky the builders saw, but a sky from 8,000 years before their civilization began. The engineering speaks of a people who knew the size of the earth, the speed of light, the golden ratio, and the precessional drift of the stars. Mainstream Egyptology insists all of this is accidental, but after the physical evidence you are about to explore, you will be hard-pressed to keep believing that. The sciences surrounding the pyramid's structure, this precise, cannot be understood by geometry alone. Every chamber, every shaft, and every material choice seems to work in concert with principles of physics that were supposedly discovered only in the last 2 centuries. Start with the material science. The granite used extensively inside the pyramid contains up to 55% quartz crystal. Quartz is piezoelectric. When subjected to mechanical stress, it generates an electric voltage. Christopher Dunn, the engineer who proposed the ultrasonic cutting theory, also argues that the pyramid itself was designed as a power plant. In his model, the king's chamber acts as a transducer, converting the vibrational energy of the earth into electrical energy. The 43 granite beams stacked above the chamber, each resonating at the same frequency, would amplify mechanical vibration and convert it into microwave radiation through harmonic resonance. The exact same principle Nikola Tesla explored in his Wardenclyffe Tower in 1996. NASA acoustic engineer Tom Danley conducted sound experiments inside the Great Pyramid. He detected 4 distinct infrasonic frequencies resonating in the king's chamber, all of them an F-sharp chord, a tone the ancient Egyptians called the voice of Mother Earth. These frequencies are inaudible to the human ear, but vibrate through bone and stone. Dunn believes the pyramid was tuned like a musical instrument, its dimensions chosen to resonate with the planet's natural seismic hum. Every earthquake, every tremor, every tide would feed energy into the structure, where it would be concentrated and transformed. Geology, too, adds its voice. Above the king's chamber, explorers in the 19th century discovered a series of 5 stress relieving chambers, separated by massive granite beams. Engineers today recognize these as weight distribution chambers, designed to prevent the roof of the main chamber from collapsing under the pyramid's mass. The topmost chamber has a roof of limestone blocks set at an angle, a gable that redirects the downward force into the sides of the pyramid rather than onto the chamber below. It is a solution so structurally elegant that it anticipates modern bridge building techniques by millennia. The builders did not just stack stones. They understood load vectors, shear stress, and resonant frequencies. Consider the pyramid's thermal properties. Geopolymer research and thermodynamic modeling suggest that the massive stone mass acts as a thermal reservoir, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it slowly at night, maintaining a steady internal temperature of around 20 degrees Celsius, regardless of the outside desert extremes. Whether deliberate or incidental, the effect is that of a controlled environment, stable, cool, and dry, ideal for preserving something. But what? Not bodies. No mummies were ever placed here, and no funerary goods have been found. Even the water table beneath the plateau is now part of the mystery. Recent radar surveys have detected what appear to be artificial channels and reservoirs deep beneath the Giza Plateau. The Osiris shaft, located between the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, descends through 3 levels to a granite sarcophagus permanently submerged in water. Hydrogeologists have noted that the limestone bedrock below Giza is fractured and saturated, capable of channeling groundwater upward through capillary action. If a pressure differential could be created, perhaps by the weight of the pyramid itself, water might flow through the structure like blood through a body. Dunn's power plant theory suggests that this flow, combined with the piezoelectric quartz in the granite, would generate a steady electrical charge. When you stitch these observations together, the quartz-rich granite, the tuned resonance chambers, the hydraulic infrastructure, and the precision alignment to magnetic and celestial north, the pyramid begins to look less like a tomb and more like a machine. A machine built to harness the rotational energy of the Earth and the electromagnetic pulse of the planet. Science from a lost age or from somewhere else entirely. And if that prospect does not make you question the textbooks, wait until you see what the builders left unfinished. The unfinished proof. Clues left behind a civilization that could align a 6 million ton structure to within 3 arc minutes of true north. encode the golden ratio and the speed of light in its dimensions, and cut granite with ultrasonic accuracy should not have left errors. Yet the pyramid's interior is scarred with marks of haste and abrupt abandonment, and those flaws tell a story the polished exterior was meant to hide. The most glaring anomaly is the subterranean chamber. Carved directly into the bedrock 30 meters below the base of the pyramid, it was apparently intended to become the original burial vault. Today, it is a raw, uneven pit. The walls are rough-hewn, the floor is an unfinished trench, and the roof still carries the chisel scars of workers who simply stopped. An incomplete passage leads away from it, ending in blank stone. A mainstream explanation is that the architects changed their mind, relocating the burial chamber higher up. But why would builders capable of such exactitude above ground leave the central chamber of their pharaoh looking like a forgotten mine shaft? The sudden, mid-project decision makes no engineering sense, unless the subterranean level was sabotaged, or the builders were forced to abandon it before they could complete their work. Then there is the Osiris shaft. Discovered in 1999 by Zahi Hawass, this vertical tomb plunges into the water table directly between the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. On its lowest level, a massive granite sarcophagus sits permanently submerged in dark, cold groundwater. A deliberate choice in a desert that treasures dryness above all else. The Egyptians ferried 80-ton granite beams from Aswan to build a tomb that was designed to be flooded from the moment it was sealed. Why entomb the god of the underworld in water? What did the builders know about the conductive or preservative properties of that specific water that we are only beginning to guess at? Walk east and you confront the Sphinx and its own unfinished story. The colossal sculpture shows unmistakable signs of water erosion. Vertical gullies and rounded fissures that geologists, including Robert Schoch, argue could only be caused by prolonged, heavy rainfall. Egypt's climate turned arid around 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, which means the Sphinx must be at least 7,000 to 10,000 years old. Thousands of years older than the pyramids it supposedly guards. The head of the Sphinx, disproportionately small and much less eroded, appears to be a later recarving. The original monument may have been a colossal lion, gazing at the constellation of Leo rising on the spring equinox of 10,500 BC. The same Zep Tepi, encoded in the Orion alignment of the pyramids. If the Sphinx predates dynastic Egypt, then the entire Giza complex is a palimpsest, a sacred site inherited and renovated by a younger civilization that no longer understood the machinery it was copying. Look also at the pyramid's missing capstone. Every other pyramid in Egypt either has a capstone or clear evidence that one was mounted. The Great Pyramid has neither. The summit is a flat platform, about 30 feet square, as though the builders simply stopped one course short of completion. Was the capstone never installed, or was it deliberately removed? Ancient traditions speak of a golden pyramidion that blazed in the sun, visible for miles. Perhaps the final piece of the machine, the antenna that completed the circuit. Finally, consider the output. Casing stones were stripped for medieval Cairo. The internal chambers were scoured clean by Arab caliphs searching for treasure. The smooth white Tura limestone that once reflected the sun like a mirror is gone, and with it, the pyramid's ability to function as a sealed, resonant cavity. What we see today is not the Great Pyramid. It is the skeleton of the Great Pyramid, its skin and perhaps its purpose peeled away by time and thieves. The structure as it now stands is the unfinished proof of a catastrophe, a cultural amnesia that erased the technology and left only the shell. These clues: the abandoned chamber, the waterlocked Osiris tomb, the rain-scarred sphinx, the missing capstone, and the stripped casing, together form a forensic trail. They do not spell out the name of the architect, but they scream one undeniable truth. The civilization that planned Giza was not the civilization that finished it. Knowledge was lost. The machine was switched off. And we have been living inside the silent ruins ever since. The journey is now complete, but the mystery is not. You have walked through a monument that scales the Earth at an astronomical ratio, and that holds the speed of light's digits in its latitude and the golden ratio in its slopes. You have seen evidence that its builders cut stone with tools 500 times better than modern steel, and lifted 80-ton loads with hydraulic lifts lost to history. You have stood inside a granite resonator tuned to the planet's heartbeat, and beneath it, in a flooded chamber that defies every principle of Egyptian burial practice. And you have glimpsed the Sphinx, older perhaps than civilization itself, its body scarred by rains that fell before the pharaohs. Was all of this the work of a brilliant but forgotten human dynasty? Or do these precise eternal numbers encoded in stone, the dimensions of the Earth, the digits of light's speed, the golden ratio, and pi, form a message deliberately left for a future age? A signal that would be recognized only when the science finally caught up. You hold the evidence. The pyramid has been waiting 4,500 years, or perhaps 12,000 for you to find it. The verdict is yours to reach.